guys, today we're continuing with the Betta series that I announced last video, and I'll show you how I put together Harley's tank. First, more about the tank, then more about Harley. P.S. If you missed my first video with Mango's tank, check it out down below in the description. So the tank is another cube. This is a Blau tank, identical to Mango's tank, different brands. I'm using the exact same hardware and the exact same Frankensoil. I have to say, the mixture works out pretty great for this setup. So first off, I'm starting with the gravel. I'm gonna place an amount of gravel or soil, however you want to call it, on the bottom, and I'm gonna try to slope it just a little bit. Since this is a cube and I'm really not going for intricate aquascapes, I'm not very concerned about depth and creating all sorts of levels. A basic little slope is just what I need. Alrighty, time for the wood. As I was saying in my previous video, in the Bettascapes, I'm not going to use rocks because I simply cannot find any good ones in my area. I did, however, find a whole lot of driftwood. I bought it all, so I'm gonna use it all on the Bettascapes. As usual, it takes me about 3 days or so to find a proper arrangement, so let me know in the comments who can relate with me. So I'm trying out all the pieces of wood that I have available and see which one looks the fanciest, which one works the best with the other one, but eventually I do reach a decision. Now, one thing I did not do is soak or boil these pieces of wood. Usually driftwood does not float, but as I told you in my previous video, there is a piece of wood out of all of the ones that I bought which floats, and it's gonna turn up in this scape. So from now on, I am testing all of the wood pieces so that I don't have surprises. Nice, huh? Well, it's gonna stop being nice in a few minutes. By the way, if you notice a different light than the one I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we'll get to it. I initially started the scape with a different light, turns out I didn't like it, and I switched it. After I rinsed off the wood, but I did not submerge it in the water, bad decision, I'm arranging it like I settled upon. And I also decide that one of the pieces is a little bit too large for what I have in mind. So I remove it, and using a handsaw, I cut away the bits that were just a little bit too long and unnecessary. Time for the plants. Here is my favorite cryptocorin, the Wenti green. I don't know how to properly pronounce it. Some people call it Wendity. I don't know, it really doesn't matter. Many cryptocorins have a tendency to go brown. There aren't way too many that stay green, and this is one of them, hence why I really like it. It's not the showiest of them all, but I like it because it's green. Then some epiphytes, of course. Anubias is a staple for Betta tanks because it's a really low maintenance plant, it grows slow, and if you don't bombard it with a lot of light, it will not actually accumulate way too much algae. I actually had these pieces in a bucket for 2 months until I found the perfect setup for them, and look at them. They grew and look really nice and green. Just keep in mind, they should not be buried in the soil. What I do is I glue them to pieces of rocks and then I arrange them wherever I want in the aquarium, making sure that the stem is not buried. Then I'm using some Sagittaria subulata from my main tank. I removed all of it from the main tank because it was a little bit invasive. And in this low intensity tank, where it will not have CO2, it will not grow as fast. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Then another very low maintenance plant, the Limnophila sessiflora, again from my main tank. Completely removed it from there as well because again it was invasive and it was shading everything else. So I'm hoping that in this tank it will grow a little bit slower and look just as nice. Spoiler alert, that's exactly what it's doing. Next up, some Vallisneria from Harley's previous tank, which I dismantled. I don't like Vallisneria. I don't know what it is about it, it's just not appealing, but it is an easy plant to grow, so I just added it until the stores stocked up on plants. You will see that eventually I removed it. I also initially used an internal filter, which then I switched for the Aqua Clear because it was just taking up a lot of space. It was also quite powerful for this particular setup. And now, filling the tank slowly and surely with the watering can. I explained why in the video with Mango's tank. But oh no, disaster strikes. One of the pieces of wood started to float. It's actually the one below the upper piece. So what it did was uproot a bunch of plants and also disturb the plants on the upper piece of wood. I tried my best to arrange it. I thought that maybe if I bury it a little bit in the soil, it will stay. Maybe I can find a place to put a rock on it. But no, there was nothing I could actually do about it. There was no way that I could stabilize it as it were. I tried placing a rock somewhere. I failed. It just didn't work out. So what I decided to do is take out the whole thing, and I did manage to find a rock that I could place in between the two pieces of wood that hopefully will keep everything down. Did it keep everything down? I don't know. Stay tuned. We're gonna find out in 1 minute or so. Now, since the water got very cloudy and quite a few plants were uprooted, I needed to empty the tank just to see what I'm doing and replant pretty much everything. You can imagine the joy. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. Here we go again, filling up the tank. Fingers crossed it does not float. Checking it from time to time, and disaster. Strike two. It's still floating, you guys, with the rock. So I gave up that day. I had enough. So I boiled the piece of wood, which made it a little bit better. I placed the rock and it was sticking to the ground. So yay, victory. It is now time to let the tank stabilize and cycle a little. Mind you, the soil was already used, so it's not leaching out nutrients. It's also filled with bacteria, so that sped up the cycling process a lot. The cryptocorin melted a little bit, but not as much as I expected actually. Anyway, whatever melted away, the shrimps ate up. And yes, I did try to add a few shrimps here just to see how Harley reacts. Spoilers, he didn't react well. And now it's time to add Harley. And here he is, my beautiful boy. He is a short fin koi galaxy betta. And did I tell you he's a beauty? He's one of the most beautiful fishies that I have ever had. He is gorgeous, and I have to say that since the experience with Charlie, which if you guys don't know him, he was a sort of a really weird mixed breed between a half moon and something with extreme amount of finnage, and that made him nip at his fins. It was sad. I was always trying to distract him from his struggles basically, but from time to time he would still nip at his fins. They never got infected. The water was always very clean, but still I didn't like it. It broke my heart. So I told myself that I'm not ever going to get something as heavily finned as him. So first off, I got Mango, who is a veiled tail, and even though, yeah, he has some long fins, they're nothing compared to what Charlie had. And now seeing Harley so nimble and so stress-free with his short fins, just fills my heart with joy. I really, really like how fast he is. Mind you, the shrimp don't like how fast he is. I can tell you that. But anyway, as a side note, do consider short fin bettas. They're beautiful, and you won't have some of the issues that long-finned bettas have. And by the way, let's talk about the light. I initially started with the Aquael Ledi Slim Sunny Implant. Very big name. I did not like it. First and foremost, I didn't like the color rendition. It made Harley look very washed off. I know that on camera you might not notice it, but in real life his colors were not very, very bright, and he's very beautifully colored. Second of all, the angle. All of the stem plants were leaning very abruptly towards the front of the aquarium to get the light. So the angle of the LEDs, it was very narrow, if I can call it like that. All in all, I decided to switch the light to something that I'm literally obsessed with, and I will make a video on. I switched almost all of my tanks to the ONF Flat 1 Nano, which I know it's one of the more expensive lights, but it's absolutely worth it in my opinion. I'm in love with that light. I'm gonna talk about it later. And here we are today. You can see Harley looks a lot more colorful, right? Well, it's the light. Also, look at the plants. I did a few changes. Can you see? I added some Ludwigias, a few other plants here and there. The moss grew a little bit. The limnophila in the back. We had issues with the previous light with some stunted growth. Now it started to grow again beautifully. I do believe it was because of the light. And here is the light. It's also very stylish. Well, I should think so for the price, right? Anyway, bottom line, the aquarium is doing great. There is no CO2. As you can see, I have the light on a sunrise and sunset function, which is very easily adjustable with the app that comes for this light. I have close to zero algae issues in this particular tank and in pretty much all the tanks that I'm using this light on, so it makes me believe that there is a connection between the quality of this light and being prone to algae or not. And otherwise, everything is looking good. Harley is a happy fish. He's actually a very curious fish, but also very, very aggressive. Nothing like Charlie. He started to nip at the shrimps, so I took all of them out and put them in the shrimp tank, which now is a rainbow of colors. I don't only have the crystals, I have all of the other differently colored cherries, and I kind of like it more. Sadly, the only friends Harley will have are some snails, but hey, that's really not all that surprising for a beta. Did I tell you Harley is beautiful? Yeah, he's absolutely gorgeous. He's much smaller than Mango. I don't know if he's gonna grow way too much. He looks like he's quite mature at this point, but who knows, maybe he's gonna grow a little bit more. And I'm seriously considering to get a female galaxy as well. I saw one. Somebody has one that they're willing to sell to me. I'm gonna think about it because, oh boy, look at this beautiful boy. Wonderful coloration, isn't it? Anyway, so that's about it for Harley, which, by the way, his name comes from Harlequin. Duh. Very uninspired. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you will enjoy the Betta series from now on. Stay tuned for next episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think. And again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.